Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Godinez, and please be welcome to this special full English episode of Explora podcast UMES. This space was created to develop different topics like culture, citizen participation, professional growth, and much more. This episode is brought to you thanks to the career of Profesorado de Enseñanza Media en Inglés de Universidad Mesoamericana. Today, our guest is our own career coordinator, Licenciada Wendy Detlefsen. We'll be discussing a very interesting topic, which I personally find that will nurture our professional lives. Miss Wendy, please be welcome.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks to you for coming. So our topic is observing lessons, a reflective practice for professional growth. I think this topic is going to teach a lot, to be honest. I know not every teacher is an observer, but for those administrative positions, I think this is very important for both the observing and the observed, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So what can you tell us?
Well, when you do professional observation, you will definitely direct it in terms of achieving something. That's what you want. Even if it's a little bit empiric, let's say, if you're not professional, if you haven't studied how to do it, it's going to give you a lot of data on what the school can improve. And something important, even though in our culture it's not precisely common to have teachers observing peer teachers as a way of professional growth, it is something that is highly recommendable. We are used to have administrative observations, and teachers get really stressed out because of that, right?
So
they say, no, I don't want to be there. Come on, the coordinator is going to come. So they start shaking, and it shouldn't be like that. The proposal or the idea of thinking about it as professional growth is something that teachers should start implementing in their portfolio, let's say. And since we have that, this is a quantitative way of actually registering the performance of a teacher, not only the behavior, not only administrative things as, is he wearing the uniform? Is he holding a lesson plan? Is he using the whiteboard properly? Not only that, but also the performance. How well does he or she behave with the children? How does he manage rapport problems in between teenagers? Even with adults. Here at the university, when we have conducted classroom observation, we notice things that sometimes the own teacher cannot find on his own. And that this procedure actually helps them to grow, because that's the purpose. If schools change the methodology and they say, well, listen, we're going to observe because we want you to grow up as a teacher, it will definitely change the perspective. And this is the proposal.
So it's not only about the rules of the school, it's also for the growth of the teacher, right? But if it is about the growth of the teacher, so the feedback becomes like the main
Crucial.
thing.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yeah, definitely. You have to set a purpose. Like whenever you're going to start an observation, you have to say, okay, I want to observe your lesson because, and this, yeah. If I'm doing it with a peer teacher, I will go and say, okay, Diana, listen, I'm struggling with classroom management in this particular group. Can you please come and observe my lesson? I'm going to be as normal as I'm always being, right? So I want you to observe, just concentrate in classroom management. So that will be the purpose. Then you conduct the observation. And then in the feedback, well, it's definitely recommendable to take the experiential learning cycle, right? And start the questions with, okay, how did you feel? Tell me something that you really liked about your lesson. And you write that down, right? And then perhaps you as an observer have some other things where you mark your notes with a smiley face, right? How about this moment? How did you feel about this? Because sometimes teachers are so nervous that they're like, it was awful.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Right?
I could have done this different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they concentrate in the negative because that's our culture, that's our nature. But you can give it a twist and always start with, if the teacher is not telling you anything positive, then you help them with your notes. And you say, okay, listen, I observed this. How did you feel in this moment? Did you notice when Fulanito stood up and helped his peers? Did you notice how everybody was like giving you the right answer at the same time? And they start, oh, yeah, that was great. Okay, tell me a little bit about that. And you write it down, right? And then you go to the difficult part, right? If you had agreed on classroom management, then you go, okay, so let's talk about classroom management. I noticed that when you call people to get the materials, you take a lot of time, right? But it's better if it comes from the teacher and you only ask questions like, okay, how did you feel about getting materials for the activity? Please describe that, right? And they give you a description. And then you provide your feedback and say, well, I noticed that, look, you started the activity at 7:05. And by the time everybody had the materials, it was already 7:12. So look at all of the amount of minutes that you used, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Having a purpose. And then feedback, and then setting goals for the next session. It shouldn't be a thing of a single time event. It should be something that you do periodically. So if we agreed on observing classroom management this week, I'm going to observe you not only with this group, but I'm going to tell you, why don't I observe you with your favorite class? Right? Let's see what's different. Yeah, because we always have a favorite class.
Yeah, we do, definitely. Like those who are more collaborative or who are like, you feel a connection, right?
Exactly. And you feel like a friend with them, right? So sometimes you smile differently. And that's something that a classroom observation
and your attitude is
different,
right?
Your attitude, you're like, or perhaps your favorite class happens to be the first one in the morning because you're fresh, because nobody has said anything wrong to you. You haven't seen your cell phone in a lot of hours. I don't know, something like that. So sometimes those things affect, and you can never find out if you don't observe the lesson. So let's say we observe you during a whole week where you told me to observe you, but I'm going to tell you, okay, I want to observe you in this other class, and why don't you tell me which of these is your favorite one? I want to observe you there. So we come up with data, and then we can have a plan of action. It's always that. It's not just observing you because in some schools it's like, this is the week of observations, so I'm going to do my best. And once they're over, I don't care. I don't care what happened. I don't care about the results. They're just going to sit with me and tell me, oh, you should do better in this and this. Oh, okay, sure. That's it. No, see it as professional growth. Like, this is the opportunity. And this is why there are many strategies that you can apply. It's not only what we are discussing. It could be learning walks. It could be lesson study. It could also be instructional rounds. It could be instructional coaching, which is what I'm referring to, and peer observation, which I was referring to as well. But those are at least 5 ways
of doing or accomplishing the same goal, right?
When you do instructional rounds, you're doing it more for, let's say it's a global thing at the school. We want to be experts in cooperative learning, let's say. So we're going to do rounds in the whole school, but we're also going to go and observe another school.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
So let's say you have a fellow school in Guatemala City, and you say, okay, we're both working with cooperative learning, so I would like to negotiate an instructional round of observations, right? So my team...
people come from this place A, to place B, and from place B to place A.
Exactly. And the idea...
And then they share
and
what
then
they found.
share. Exactly.
So you can have like a more objective point of view.
Yeah. And it's like best practices. In business, we do those, right? If I'm McDonald's, I'm going to go and observe Burger King.
Yeah.
They must be doing something nice. So same thing here. But here is not because I want to be better than you. It's just that if you're doing things already in an excellent way, I want to learn from you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not only to judge, but also to learn, right?
Yeah.
Oh, she did this. I can use this too.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah. And that's the way observing lesson works.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in the path, administratives changed the perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Because lesson observation, when you study it in a book, in a website, it's always going to be the way I'm presenting it, right? Mm-hmm. It's for professional growth. That's what you want. This is a path where teachers can actually, let's say, gain badges and saying, whoa, you moved from this scale and now you're moving on, right? Mm-hmm. You already mastered, let's say, cooperative learning. Now let's work with technology. Now let's move it on to rapport. Your rapport is not very good. Yeah, you're very shy. What could happen, for example, here at the university, that they say things like, yeah, he's a great doctor, but not a good teacher.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. So it could be, you can help them. You can say,
it's like, she's very good at reading, but maybe not so much at writing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Or her instructions are not good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything is perfect, but instruction delivery is missing something. So you can concentrate on that and you make your teachers better.
Uh-huh. And in this case, the perspective we're using from the books, right? The authentic perspective. Would this observation would be requested from the professor or stated from the school? I mean, the school tell you need to have observation at least once every unit, for example. Or if you feel that you need it, you can go and request somebody. Would you please observe?
Well, this is something that will definitely depend on the school. The recommendation will be that every single school takes it as a practice. Mm-hmm. Of course, that this podcast, for example, is going to be opening eyes around the media because the idea...
hope that.
Yeah. So the idea is that coordinators, administratives say, well, it doesn't sound that crazy, right? We can establish it as part of our goals. I mean, do I want my teachers to stay? Yeah. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money to train new teachers.
Definitely it does.
And it takes a lot of energy from the school, even reputation. It's really sad when you see this particular school is hiring teachers again, right? Every single year, right? There are some schools here in Shala that you say, yeah, they're going to hire for sure. At the end of the year, they're going to be hiring, and they are hiring.
And they are hiring, and you think like, what's going on? Something is happening there. Students don't stay. I'm sorry, teachers don't stay.
Exactly. So you don't want to work there, right? So it will be better to say, well, let's invest in the ones that we already have. Let's have a policy that says, let's observe them. Let's give them professional growth. And in that sense, you will train the teachers by telling them, listen, I'm going to be observing. This is the format I will be using. I'm always going to ask you about the positive things. We're going to discuss a little bit of the negative. And we're going to have goals, right? And also tell them, listen, but I would rather have you being observed by a colleague. Share. My personal recommendation, this is not something from a book. This is Wendy Detlefsen saying, we should have own or self-observation through video. You place your tablet, your cell phone in the back of the room and you record. Or you could even ask a student, can you please hold my cell phone and record this particular thing?
This particular thing, yeah.
Right? And you observe yourself. There's so many things you can find. Like sometimes you discover that you always stand in the same spot and you always ask the same students. And then there is...
You attend the same group.
Exactly. So those little things can be seen through video. And technology is there. Very easy. When I started being observed, they will use cameras. And it was very expensive to have a camera in the classroom, right? And very delicate. And it was a whole procedure of, I'm going to take the camera to do this and this and this. Nowadays, you don't need that. Your cell phone, memory space, right? And you can record the whole lesson. So self-observation. After you did that, you should have a plan of action. And you say, okay, I noticed that when I'm writing in the whiteboard, I give my back to my students a lot of minutes, right? I don't check, right?
Exactly.
Like you write and then you check, and you write and check. That should be recommendable, right? But there are some teachers that stay writing forever.
Memories in my head. Yeah.
And then the students just lost everything you have done greatly in the warm-up.
Just because of that moment.
It vanished, right? And then teachers are complaining like, but they don't pay attention to me.
Yeah, but students lose attention like this when...
Especially nowadays with TikTok, Instagram. It's like
They're in the university where they have the cell phones. Indeed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They're like this.
But, and even in school, there's like, oh, I like that, like talking about what they were wearing or what they were using. Or, oh, I like your pen. Let me use it in drawing and other stuff, right?
Yeah. So you only observe it through recording your session,
exactly.
Right? Record your lessons, take the cell phone through a lot of classrooms. Check sometimes the time of the day affects. Sometimes it affects you. Who did you talk to before the class? I mean, those little things.
Being aware, right?
Yeah.
Of their reactions.
Exactly. So pay attention. The camera you should have 2 cameras. One recording you and one recording the classroom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have to tell your students, I'm going to be recording the class. And you could even tell them, this is just for fun. I'm going to make a TikTok. Something like that.
Let's do the move.
Yeah. So they don't, because if you tell them, my coordinator asked me to record it, they're going to be super.
All the time.
Yeah. You don't want that. You want them to be natural. Yeah, exactly. When you record the students, preferably do it from their back, right? Because they're more natural. So you can actually see who moves, who bothers who, etc. And then you make a plan of action based on what you find. Yeah. You record again and you see if whatever you set for your own goal worked. It should work. You could ask for help, right? You should check. But could work. And then you ask a peer and you say, listen, I had this problem. I solved it this way. And now I want you to observe me because of this. So you have it. And this person, you tell them like what to observe, right? You find out there are many formats available online. But basic things, something like, this is the time, right? Always pay attention to time. This is the time. This is what I observed. And this is what I really liked. Or this is what I'm wondering. Yeah, this is what happened. Facts. And this is what I'm wondering. And in the wondering column, you can write, oh, I really like this. Or, I have a question mark here, right? Like, why did you do this?
Yeah.
And you teach your peer, listen, I don't want you to criticize me, right? I want you to tell me the nicest way, right? You take your fellow teacher, but I want you to be blunt, right? That's something, it has to be on the table. After you did that, then the administrative staff could come. Either administrative staff alone or a coordinator or, teacher-in-chief, whatever you call it, and somebody else. That would be recommendable. So that the more people observe your lessons, the more input you're going to have, the more data you're going to have. And remember, the idea is to grow. the idea is to have this reflexive exercise of saying, oh, okay, this is the information. Thank you very much. Now it's on my plate. I'm going to analyze it and see what can I do with this? Because remember that, and that's something important to highlight, right? Observations are made by humans, and humans tend to interpret things depending on how they are feeling that day or how they feel about this particular class sometimes. Yeah, because I have seen so many times that there's a principal that comes and say, I want to observe quinto bachillerato because they have me here, right? So I'm going to come and observe, and I'm going to find, and they come with this knife. They want to find.
They already have in the mind what they want to find, what they are looking for, so they find it.
Exactly.
And they potentialize that, right?
Exactly.
And highlight that spot.
And whoever teacher accepted that behavior from this particular student is going to be called apart, right? Like, listen, I observed this. That's not the purpose. That's definitely not the purpose. But even though you have a policy at the school where observations are being made for professional growth, sometimes humans make mistakes, right? And you interpret things not properly, right? So that's something that you have to take into consideration. Use the information, take it for yourself, and analyze it and say, well, yeah, I really want to implement this, or I want to research on this. And this is why coordinators should definitely help. I mean, they are there for a reason, right? They were chosen for a reason. So if you're observing as a coordinator, you should go and say, okay, I'm going to help you. I don't know anything about, let's say, using Kahoot, for example. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to learn. And we can do a plan of action together, right? Or I don't have time to learn, but I found out that this book is going to help you a lot. So why don't you read it? You meet me with a summary of the book, and then we make a plan of action. It's always recommendable to do it that way.
So the idea here is that we always keep it in a positive way, in a constructive criticism way.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the purpose. That's the way it definitely works. When you do it negatively, it's not going to work.
No, definitely not.
No, it's going to hinder not only the performance of the teacher, it's even going to hurt the students because this teacher is going to be resentful. So if he was...
We're human.
Exactly. And if you were throwing games, having a blast in the classroom, and your principal or your peer teacher tells you, listen, they were too noisy. They were out of control. You have to control your classroom. And you say, okay, I'm going to do it. So next time, this,
goes
positive
away.
Teacher smiling comes and say, no, I have to be strict, right?
Not only strict, but no more games because you're too noisy.
Exactly.
So sit down.
Exactly.
Sit straight. To the front.
Yeah. And that's going to hurt your core. I mean, your students. You're doing it for the students. And this is something to be highlighted as well. This is professional growth for teachers. Yeah, but our main goal are the students.
Definitely improve the way you approach to your students, right?
Exactly.
You transmit the message, you provide the information, and not only in English, right? But every subject they might have.
Yeah, and that's why I was suggesting that it should be a policy, not, a trend. No, a policy of schools.
Something permanent.
Yeah, something that you do, as you were saying, I mean, once per bloque, unidad, semester, however you want to divide time, it's recommendable. But I wouldn't stick to just one. I mean, observe one time, and then a second time, and then a third time, and then a fourth time, and a fifth, and a sixth. And you can even boost the time the teacher is being observed if you implement self-observation and peer observation. Not everything has to depend on the coordinator, because that's another complaint people have, administrative staff have. No, I cannot do more than once
I have
a year.
50 teachers. How am I going to do that?
Exactly. Well, you could do 50 observations throughout the year, but you should definitely have the input from peer teachers and their own.
Yeah, because if that specific day your teacher was having a bad day and it was a mess, then one observation is not going to be fair, I guess.
No, not fair, not effective. And we're looking for effectiveness. And as I was highlighting, we're doing it for the students, your core, the reason why whatever school, public, private, university, junior high, preschool, everybody's doing it for the students, right? So we really want them, what do we want them to do? To learn, right? And if I'm doing this as a path of professional growth, I'm also helping my teacher feel motivated, because that's something that we have seen here in our, in Shela, right? Teachers are no longer very happy of teaching. They rather work, English teachers rather work in a call center because they pay better.
Yeah, I have seen many teachers going that way because it's not so satisfying, fulfilling.
Yeah. Exactly. And this, on the other hand, gives you a sense of, well, I'm doing something positive. I'm impacting society. And they're actually doing it. But they're not receiving enough attention, support. Sometimes they're not even scaffolded. Yeah?
That is true. That is true. This is a very interesting topic. And we have a lot. I know that there are many more things that we can talk, but we're coming to an end. So from your own experience, from your many, many years of experience in everything that you have studied and more, what can you tell our teachers, future teachers, students, professionals in general about this?
In one sentence, I will say, make it your own. Grab it, make it your own, feel it, and enjoy it. Think of this as a way of becoming better, not only as a teacher. When you are being observed as a constant thing in your life, there are many aspects of that life that can be improved. Because sometimes observation finds out that you seem to be, for example, open because you're always smiling. But when students approach you, you're not that open. You're like, strict, square thinking, right? And you say, no, this is the only way. So sometimes lesson observation tells you that, and you see, oh, there's a pattern. My kids complain about the same. My mom complains about this. My partner complains about this. Oh, it makes sense. Right? So make it your own and enjoy it. Feel it like, okay, this is a way of becoming not only a better professional, a better person, a better human being.
Yeah, definitely does. I think that's a very helpful message for all of you. And I hope we take advantage of all of the information that we have received today. We have come to the end of this special episode, and we invite you to follow us and stay tuned to this whole full English series of episodes that Explora Podcast UMES has brought to you. And please remember to follow us in our social media, who is in the description of the video below. My name is Diana Godinez, and it was such a pleasure to be with you. Thanks, Ms. Wendy, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.